And away we go. Oh my god, that's so loud on my end. There, that's a little better. What's up, everyone? Sorry I missed, I technically missed some time. Technically. I was on a really good streak of doing these every Friday night for like 4 weeks. And technically I've only missed one Friday night. That's why I'm doing this tonight. And then hopefully I'll get back in the groove of doing them on Friday nights this coming Friday, but technically I only missed one. So here's what happened. 2 weeks ago, I did one live with Jason Almy from a cigar bar. And it was a little shorter than I would have liked. I think it was only about 20 or 30 minutes long. But that's because, we did Jason's show first, and Jason likes to talk. If you don't know Jason Almy, he likes to talk. And he can lose track of time pretty quickly. So I think that, the original agreement was that we were going to do an hour on his show and then an hour on my show. And before we know it, like an hour and 20 minutes or something had passed on his show. And then, we switched shows and we got to, switch over to my show. And then we also got to get more drinks and another cigar. We each got another cigar. And it just ended up being, I think that by the time, then like the bar closes at midnight, but we don't want to be, finishing the show at midnight. We need to be wrapped up and cleaning up all our gear and shit. So we really ended up like wrapping that show around like 11:45, I think, that night. So, and then the other problem is that, when I record with Jason, I got to wait for him to send me the audio for the episode. So he still has not sent me the audio, and it's been almost 2 weeks now. So eventually he'll send that to me, and then there will be another episode. But then this past Friday, like last Thursday was Thanksgiving. Had an awesome Thanksgiving. I hope you all did as well. We had an awesome Thanksgiving. Continuing our Thanksgiving tradition of just the two of us at home. Me and Ro started dating right at like the beginning of COVID. And in November of 2020, COVID was still like, people are still saying like, oh, we don't want people to go out. We, CDC and Fauci. And even though I never bought into any of that bullshit, most, I don't know about most, half of the people still did. And I'm sure that there were plenty of people who still had Thanksgiving as normal that year. Get-togethers and whatever. But I know that my family, my extended family that usually does like big Thanksgivings, they didn't do Thanksgiving that year. They canceled it that year. So that year, me and Ro just stayed home, the two of us, and Ro cooked a Thanksgiving dinner as if we were having 30 people over. And I don't know what made me think of it. But I was like, well, I want to watch. I'm gonna watch the Indiana Jones trilogy tomorrow, and this was on like Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving. I was like, I'm gonna watch I think I want to watch the Indiana Jones trilogy tomorrow because I think it was on Netflix or Amazon at the time. So I was like, I'm gonna watch that, and I think that I bought I know that I bought a bottle of bourbon, in fact, or no, I didn't even buy a bottle of bourbon. Rose surprised me with the greatest bourbon that I've ever had. It was a Basil Hayden Caribbean Rye, which I foolishly thought was just going to be like something that was always made, and it was not. And it was a $40 bottle back when she bought it. And mere moments ago, I looked it up on Google, and now bottles of that sell for $400. And the Basil Hayden website is like, here's a list of bourbons that we've made in the past that we're never making again, and you can live vicariously through our explanation of them. And I wish that I'd have bought a bottle. But Basil Hayden does have a like a 10-year-old bourbon out right now that I think I'm gonna buy a couple bottles of that, one to drink and one to fucking hang on to. Because it seems like that's going to be another like limited run of theirs that will probably be worth some money one day. So, but yeah, she had bought me that, and I drank that day. Not the whole bottle. I had like a couple of glasses of it. And I might have bought some tequila too to go with it, because every year since I've bought tequila. But So yeah, last year, trilogy was Back to the Future, and all 3 years now I've made a pumpkin pie. Actually, last year I feel like I might have made something different last year. Last year I think I made a blueberry pie, because I know that I did like a lattice top on it. So I might have done like a blueberry pie last year. But this year I did a pumpkin pie. And then, so yeah, last year was Back to the Future, and then this year was Beverly Hills Cop, all three movies, which was great. Like last year, like Back to the Future, I don't know what it was, but for some reason, like maybe halfway through the third movie, I kind of lost interest in continuing to watch it, and I took a break for like an hour, hour and a half, and then I did finish it that day, but I think I finished it more out of a feeling of like I started these, I need to finish them. Beverly Hills Cop, on the other hand, that one was fucking easy as hell to blow through. I mean, I think that the total time for all three movies is like 5 hours, and that's about what it took to watch all three movies, even with some pauses in between. So yeah, it was a good time. Ro, as usual, cooked an amazing meal. She made fucking these amazing Bloody Marys for us first thing when we got up, and they were dangerously good. God, they were so good. She saved like a bunch of it for us to have on Sunday, and I woke up on Sunday morning and had like 4 more, and God, they're so delicious. There's still some of the mix left, and it's tempting as hell to just be like, I'm gonna fucking have the rest of that right now. But I can't or shouldn't, because I shouldn't really be having. I'm trying not to have any like real drinks. I'm drinking my Bud Zero tonight, which is only 50 calories and 0 sugar and 0 alcohol. So, and that's really only just because I'm doing this right now, and I feel like I should be having some sort of drink while I do my podcasting stuff. I'm doing this real quick. And then me and Tom are doing our show at 9 o'clock. So I'm like going to fucking punch off of this and jump right onto that. I actually started this a little bit later than I would have preferred because I've been watching True Detective. I think I might have mentioned that before. But, for years people have been saying, oh, you got to, the show's so good. Season one is really good, but season 2 and 3 sucked. Something like that. Maybe they just said that season 2 sucked. I don't know that season 2 sucked. It definitely had an awesome cast. Rachel McAdams, Taylor Kitsch, and Colin, an actor that I really like, but now I can't think of his last name. Colin something. He was in the first SWAT movie back in 2003, and he's been in a bunch of other stuff, obviously. But Colin Farrell, that's his name. Colin Farrell, Taylor Kitsch, and Rachel McAdams. All three actors that and Vince Vaughn, too. I love Vince Vaughn. People give Vince Vaughn a lot of shit as, like, a bad actor. I think he's pretty diverse, He does, like, serious roles really good, but then, like, The Internship and Wedding Crashers are 2 of my favorite comedy movies. And if you haven't seen The Internship, the unrated version, you got to watch the unrated version. It is a great movie. It makes you want to go be an intern at Google. So yeah, that was my Thanksgiving. And then, so getting back to why I didn't record on Friday, I called in sick to work on Friday, and I didn't think that it would be a good look for me to call in sick on Friday and then do a podcast Friday night. So skipped that one, but we ended up having a really great weekend. We went out for a little bit, did some shopping, slept in a lot, both Friday and Sunday. Excuse me. Friday, I don't think we got up until like 1 or 1:30 in the afternoon. And then Sunday, I woke up at noon and looked over at my love, and she was looking at me, and she was like, are you, because Saturday night we went out. And celebrated the retirement of our friend, Jay. He recently retired from a local police department. And so we went out Saturday night and celebrated that. And she had gotten a ride with her friend Kimmy in the afternoon, because the 2 of them were going to help set up for the retirement party. And I was working, and even if I guess Yeah, me working didn't really play a big role in it, because if I wanted to, I probably could have gotten out of work at like 1 o'clock and driven Row to Manchester or whatever. But the problem was that I needed to get some sleep. I definitely needed to get a shower. So she was getting a ride with her friend, and then I was going to come home around 3, take a nap for like an hour, and then take a shower, and then I'd meet them there. And I ended up meeting everyone there at like 6:30, and had a good time. I saw some old faces that I hadn't seen in a long time. Celebrated his retirement. It was fun. And then around like 9 o'clock, Rose like, what other bars are around here? Because she wanted to go get a drink at like a real bar. And so I was like, oh, there's this place. You know, I haven't been to this place in probably, this is 2022, I'd say at least 10 years, maybe 11 years. I haven't been to this place. It's called Murphy's Tap Room in Manchester, New Hampshire. I haven't been there in a long fucking time. So I was like, I'm thinking to myself, Murphy's Tap Room is great. Because I'm thinking 11 years ago, the last time I was there, there's like a bar out front where people hang out and they have drinks together and beers and shoot the shit. And there's like usually like 30 people in this area. And then you go through a set of doors to the back of the building, and there's like a club. There's like a dance club with like another bar and fucking lights going on and a DJ and people dancing and all this shit. So I'm thinking it's perfect, right? Because we can go there, we can have a beer in the bar area, and then we can go out back to the like dance floor area type of thing, right? That's what I'm thinking. 11 years does a lot to change a place, because this place is absolute fucking trash now. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know if like other bars in the area opened and just ran this place into the ground business wise. I don't know what the fuck happened, but we go there, and first of all, there might have been 10 people in the bar area. There wasn't really anyone in the bar area, and we, you know, it's a group of us. It's me and Ro and our friend Kimmy and our friends Josh and Heather and our friend Timmy. So it's a group of us. We all sit at the bar, and I said, I asked for a Coors Light, and they must have had, I don't know, 70 or 80 beers on tap, and I asked for a Coors Light, and the girl says, do you mind if it's in a bottle, because the Coors Light tap doesn't have any CO2. And I was like, I'm not picky. I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Bottle's fine. So she gets me my Coors Light, and then Ro orders a beer. She says, how about this one? She wanted to pick something random off of the taps. So she picks, something off of there. And the girl's like, oh, yeah, that one, there's no CO2 for that one. She picked like fucking 5 beers, and the girl kept saying like, oh, yeah, there's no CO2 for that one. And finally, she picks a beer that the girl's like, yep, that one's fine. She pours it, and it was a completely flat beer. There was no fucking CO2 pushing through this fucking thing. And same thing with our friends. Like, none of them got a good beer. Me and Kimmy were the only ones that got fucking beers that were, drinks that were any good, because she got a White Claw. She got a White Claw, and I got a Coors Light in a bottle. And our beers came out fine. Everyone else ordered something from these taps, and I don't think any of them had CO2 in them. None of them were fucking fizzy or bubbly or anything. They were all fucking bad. In fact, I don't think any of them actually finished their beers. So we literally had our one beer there, and then we were like, well, let's go around the corner, because we had seen another bar on our walk to Murphy's, and there was a line out the door. So we're like, okay, well, that place must be pretty good. It's called The Goat. There's a few of them all around New Hampshire. So we were like, all right, well, let's go around the corner and check that place out. Well, while we're walking to The Goat, we walk by another bar that is not quite as popular. It's probably like one. This is like the only one. I think it was called Soho. But there's bouncers outside checking IDs and whatever. And we walk down to The Goat, and we see the line of people out the door, and we can see inside the building, and it's fucking packed. Excuse me. And And we were like, well, let's go back to that other place that seems a little less crowded. So we walked back over there and go into this bar, which I wouldn't call it a dive bar, but it was certainly a fun bar for sure. There's less people in there. Maybe it picks up at some point. I don't know. Manchester, New Hampshire is very different from what I remember from my days of bar hopping in Manchester. Like 2008, 9, most of 10, I was in Manchester almost every Friday night. I had Friday nights off, and I didn't have to work until 6 o'clock on Saturday morning. So I went out to Manchester almost every Friday night, sometimes on Thursday night too. Or no, I didn't have to work until like 5 o'clock at night on Saturday night. So I had like a big break in time. Like I got off of work from the police department on Friday at like 4 o'clock, and I didn't have to work again until like 6 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock on Saturday night. So I had like 24 hours off. So I was in Manchester almost every Saturday night, or every Friday night rather. And man, it has changed because there was almost no one out in the first place other than that bar, the Goat, which was, it seemed like, I mean, we didn't exactly go bar hopping to all the available bars along Elm Street in Manchester. I mean, there's probably 30 or 40 bars or more in the area that we could have gone to, and we just happened to pick the 3 where one of them was kind of busy. But we go to this one, Soho, and they got like a dance floor and a DJ, and some guy's walking around with a camera, and he kept taking pictures of my girlfriend and Kimmy. Which, whatever, my girlfriend looked great. So I on the one hand, it's like, do you want to be jealous, or do you want to be flattered that your girlfriend's hot? So we hung out there for probably an hour or more, and then we didn't get home until midnight or so. We didn't go to bed until like 2:30 or 3, and then we slept. So a Sunday, I wake up at noon. I look over at her, and she's like, "I didn't go to bed until 5, so I'm gonna stay in bed a while longer." I was like, "That's fine." So I came downstairs and fired up some Fallout 4, watched a little bit more True Detective, and that was basically my Thanksgiving weekend. Let's see here. Murphy's didn't even have Murphy's. That's right. That Murphy's Tap Room had its own beer called Murphy's, and they didn't even have that because they're goddamn. It's like they had a CO2 shortage on a weekend. Fucking, it was crazy. It was so stupid. So that was my mate that said that. If you didn't pick that up. So. Yeah, that was my Thanksgiving weekend in a nutshell, and most of my last couple weeks in a nutshell. And now November is pretty much over. Today's 29th. We are heading into the last day of November, and then it's full. I mean, every place has already been full on Christmas anyways. Like Veterans Day was Friday the 11th of November. On Saturday the 12th, I walked into one of my businesses, and they had their Christmas tree up already. If you follow me on Instagram, you see my Sock Saturday post. It's the business where I do all of those pictures from. They already had their tree up on November 11th, or November 12th rather. And, the mall has been playing Christmas music for a few days now. At least they didn't start the Santa pictures until Black Friday. That's when they started doing, but they had the whole thing set up, a week or two ago, ready for Santa to arrive. We're looking forward to Christmas this year, and not that we haven't been the last few years, but we decided that this year we're going to be a little less crazy on what we get each other, because it's like every year we just keep going bigger and bigger, getting each other these big gifts and spending a ton of money that we could be spending on other things. So we did agree to go half with each other on one gift for our place. So that's already done. We already bought it, and and it arrives next week. Other than that, we're just gonna do like some small gifts for each other, and some gifts to each other from the cats, and get the cats gifts, and that'll be basically Christmas. But I mean, this is kind of the same thing as Thanksgiving. We just spend time at home together. Don't really go anywhere. I know that that's probably not going to last forever. At some point, people friends and family are going to be inviting us to their Thanksgivings, and after that happens, their Thanksgivings, their Christmases, and after that happens, then we're going to feel obligated to invite them to our place for Thanksgivings and Christmases. So I don't know. I'm going to milk this as long as I can, because Thanksgiving and Christmas, the last 3 seasons, has been great to just not really go anywhere. Like, I've talked to people on my route about it, and they're saying like, oh, it was so, I'm talking to them about Thanksgiving and saying like, oh, it was great because, we just stay home. We don't actually go anywhere. And they're like, oh, that sounds wonderful because, we had to go to this place and, we have to do this thing. And, this is what my family does and whatever. And I don't know. I remember I was talking to someone over Thanksgiving weekend, saying like, man, I think about my parents sometimes and just how stressful Thanksgiving Day must have been, because we would go to my grandparents' house for like lunch and have an entire Thanksgiving dinner there, and then at like 4:00 we'd be driving out to my aunt and uncle's house an hour away to have Thanksgiving dinner there. And as I remember, both of my parents ended up having Friday off anyways, so it wasn't like anyone had to work. And obviously we had the day off from school, so it wasn't like anyone had to work or go anywhere. So it is one day of high stress, and then you get the next day off. But still, it was. I can't imagine being my parents trying to get 3 kids in the car to run around to all these places, and just it sounds awful as far as I'm concerned. So. Even me, when I was married, thinking back to that time and having 4 kids and Thanksgiving Day and going to 2 different places, because we would go like for Thanksgiving dinner one place, but then we'd go to another place for dessert, and it was just such a fucking nightmare. And I'm very glad that that's not our life today. Is that on Thanksgiving Day we're chilling at home, just the 2 of us. Yeah. So. And, well, I think that's, unfortunately, like I said, this was going to have to be super short. Maybe Friday night I'll be able to catch up more about other stuff. But I got to jump off of here so that I can jump on with Tom. So if you go to Facebook and go to New England Natives, you can find a link to me and Tom's show there. Which we will be doing in just a moment. And that's it for now. I'm trying to think. I'm certain I had other shit to talk about. I know I did. But unfortunately, I got to wrap this up. So that's it for me. I'll talk to you hopefully on Friday. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Bye.